Recording in progress.
Welcome in to the latest episode of the Betting the Pitch Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, _G Warner. Tonight we are going through the English Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, Italy Serie A, the German Bundesliga, and the French Ligue 1, all through the entire card for this weekend slate. Trying to find some best bet winners. We're 17, 13, and 2, 57% so far year to date. Of the matches I've watched, I am catching up slowly but surely, and it's a long season, especially with so many fixtures over the Christmas period. But we are going deep. We're trying to find some winners, and let's go through each of the country's cards. On this episode, you get a best bet end of show. I pick my favorite for the ultimate best bet from each of the leagues, and then I'll smash them all together towards the end of this podcast, and then try to get a 1 minute or so, probably 30-second reel out at the _G Warner on Instagram, a YouTube short at the YouTube short at the _G Warner, and of course, Betting the Pitch Apple Podcast and on Spotify. A little bit lower in the chair tonight, trying to work on my ergonomics, but hopefully everything is audible, and hopefully we can find some winners on this episode. We'll start in the English Premier League because we actually have a Friday match, rare for that country to work on Fridays, it seems. But we'll start with Leeds hosting Nottingham Forest. Currently Leeds a quarter-goal favorite at home with all the juice right now, 16-cent juice at BetOnline and sportsbetting.ag. If you're not a member of either of those sites or have joined one and not the other, please hit me up at the _G Warner across all social media platforms. I get you a referral code. You can get some money, and they do a cash bonus the first time you deposit. They don't after that. So if you were previously at one and haven't been at the other, I suggest if you're at BetOnline, you can even make a sportsbetting.ag account or vice versa. That would be my suggestion. Try to get yourself some free money because that seems to be a thing that they don't really do anymore, unfortunately. But we'll start with that Nottingham Forest matchup on the road at Leeds. Leeds, newly promoted side, have played really well ever since Daniel Farke had moved to a back three. I'm not sure I'm as much of a believer in the Leeds scoring punch that they had with Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring a ton of goals about a month ago. But Nottingham Forest are a defensive side. They're going to go on the road and try to keep this as low scoring as possible. For me, I'm very interested in under 2.25 goals. Probably not as much interested in the quarter goal underdog Nottingham Forest, but they were built to be in Europa League this season, spent a fair amount of money, have a lot of budget. So that is of interest to me a little bit if it climbs to a half of a goal. Moving to Saturday morning, the early start, we have Manchester United, a 1-goal favorite at home to Tottenham. More juice on the Tottenham side. Total in this one is 3.25, and it's used extremely heavily to under, trending towards 3. Now, Ruben Amorim is gone. That means so is the 3-man back line. Probably means more offensive players for Manchester United on the pitch. And of course, Brian Mbomo coming back from AFCON certainly helped, as long as also alongside a healthy Bruno Fernandes. Tottenham have played so defensively at home all season. Of course, you'd expect that away from home as a big underdog. For me, under is the biggest interest in this one. The full goal of insurance is also of interest too, just because I don't really trust Manchester United. I don't think anyone has, and they've been an easy auto fade for years and years and years. Maybe things have changed. Maybe they will under new management, but I'm not a believer until I see it. Move next to Bournemouth, a pick'em at home to Aston Villa. All the juice right now on the Villains. Total is 2.75, juiced very heavily to over right now, and it probably should be. Bournemouth have not defended really ever since they lost center backs to AFCON or to health issues earlier this season. Did play a fullback as a center back. That did not work. Ana Iraola might be setting sail also this summer. I wonder how motivated he is. I'm sure he wants to put out the best season out there, but when you're focused on your future and potentially even taking a Manchester United job, who we just discussed, it does make little old Bournemouth, and especially selling Antoine Semenyo middle of the season to Manchester City, a big concern that we did go out with a big goal-scoring winner in his last matchup. Aston Villa has been awesome since a slow start to the Premier League season, and I don't know that I really want to fade them right now. Bournemouth, usually at home, would be very interesting to play better there, of course, but they haven't played low-scoring games in a while. I feel like I need a 3 at the very least. It's certainly trending that way. Might be nothing for me to do in that early window on Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern. Move next to Arsenal hosting Sunderland. Currently, Arsenal a 1.75 goal favorite with more juice on the Sunderland side. Total in this one is 2.75, and it's used pretty heavily to under at the moment. I think every Arsenal match seems to be the same. They dominate possession. It just depends how many set piece goals they score. I don't really trust that. I got to say, it's not really something that I believe in. I think I want a 3 on this total. It doesn't look like we're going to get that. Would like a 2 on Sunderland, but that seems a lot scarier than I would rather have the total under than the side, I got to say, in this matchup. So for me, I think I'm waiting on it and we'll see what happens. But I do like Sunderland playing a defensive match brand of football because that's what they came up with. That's what their manager's done a great job doing. And I don't think they're going to change that just from a lull in results in the middle of the season. We'll move next to Fulham hosting Everton. Currently Fulham, a quarter goal favorite with all the juice trending towards half of a goal favorite. Totals 2.25, juice more to the under. So Fulham have been playing better. Really like their manager, but there's plenty of speculation on Marco Silva with his deal coming up the end of this season. Everton have had some disciplinary issues. We've seen that, which is a bit of a surprise under a manager like David Moyes. But I think at this point for me, I'm just forever looking under in Everton matchups, especially away from home, because Moyes does not go on the road to entertain. Moving next to Wolverhampton Wanderers, they are one of the worst teams we've ever seen, at least points tally so far in the English Premier League. They are a 3/4 goal underdog at home to Chelsea. Total in this one is 2.75, just a couple cents more to over. Wolves have been playing a ton better, but it's hard not to improve from being the last team to win in your entire country, no matter what league we're talking about. I think I probably need a full goal of insurance to play Wolves. And the Chelsea side is pretty hard to understand right now. The Enzo Maresca firing or sacking or resignation, however it ended up going, was really bizarre. Hiring Liam Rossignol to a 6.5-year deal is incredible. I don't think there's any chance he plays that out, but maybe Chelsea suddenly uproars in that Lions den and plays a lot better. This chance, though, is different because it's on the road and they're a big favorite. So I'll wait to see if we get a full goal of insurance on Wolves. I don't know I'm guaranteed to pull the trigger right there, but I'll wait and see, and we'll see if it comes through. To the last of the early 9 a.m. Central Time window on Saturday, we have Burnley, a quarter goal underdog at home to West Ham United. All the juice is on West Ham quarter goal favorites. Total in this one is 2.5, and it is juiced pretty heavily to over at the moment. I expect low-scoring games, Burnley to play them every time. I don't expect West Ham to score goals. I expect less low-scoring games with West Ham every time. So for me, it's pretty easy to look to home underdog and under. They correlate. I like that combination. To the nightcap on Saturday, the biggest of Saturday, maybe. Newcastle, half a goal favorite at home to Brentford. Total in this one is 2.75, and it's juiced pretty heavily to over at the moment. Brentford have not been have not been an under team, scoring a ton of goals at home, even with the same, just using set pieces in an Arsenal-like manner, though they did it certainly before Arsenal. Arsenal kind of copied them, but they're much more efficient. On the Newcastle side, they're so good at home. They've been dominant there, really weak away from home. I feel like the Atletico Madrid of the English Premier League at this point. We'll get to Atleti in a few. But for me, I think Brentford's the only way I could look. It's a big underdog right now and probably deserves to be bigger than this. And there's a lot of juice on the underdog as well. So I feel like this might be too cheap for me to want to back Brentford away from home. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Crystal Palace, a half a goal underdog on the road at Brighton. Total in this one is 2.75, juiced all the way to under. I'm very interested in under here. I don't know that I really believe in Crystal Palace as much. They've sold so much away in the last couple seasons. They had a great run to win the FA Cup to earn a Europa League berth, I believe, which was really, really impressive. But at the same time, they got pushed to the Conference League because the same ownership group had Lyon in Europa League, and they needed all the money they could just to not get relegated to Ligue 2. I think for that business decision, that's why we've seen a lot of players leave. We probably would have anyway. Brighton have not been that impressive to me. I don't really believe in their offense. Their defense is a little bit leaky for me to want to play under, but it's bigger than I made it. And I do believe in Oliver Glasgow as defensive manager. Last but not least, we have Liverpool quarter goal favorites at home to Manchester City. All the juice on Man City right now, as it should be, I suspect. Total is 3, juiced evenly, minus 108 both ways for the nightcap and biggest one in England this weekend. I'm pretty interested in Manchester City. I mean, it's never really a side I seem to back, but as an underdog, of course, very interesting. And I got to say, Liverpool, while they do play well at Anfield, hasn't really been the season for them. And we've seen Arne Slot go from dominating games to playing a defensive brand of football. And I think he's going to be forced to do that against Man City as a favorite. So I don't like that so much. As for my ultimate best bet selection nomination from the English Premier League, let's go Man City, quarter goal underdogs on the road at Liverpool. We'll move now to the Spanish La Liga, and we'll start on Friday with Osasuna. They are visiting Celta de Vigo. So that is a Western Spain, around Portugal, actually, is where where Vigo is technically. Osasuna in Pamplona in the Basque Country. They're northern Spain on the border with France, basically, but they're going west, and they are a half a goal underdog on the road with a lot of juice right now on that road underdog. Total in this one was 2.25. Let's see if it's still there. It is. It's actually come down with a little bit of money bet on over and on the favorite. Nope, excuse me, on the underdog and the over. That doesn't really correlate very well. I don't see a lot of goals in this matchup. Celta de Vigo have been, I think, struggling to balance two competitions, La Liga and the Europa League. Congratulations to them, as they're always fighting relegation. Somehow had a great year last year, but then sold a lot of talent. I just don't see a lot of goals in this matchup. Osasuna is certainly way worse away from home. That worries me that they won't be competitive here. But I think Celta have shown they really just don't have the firepower they did last season that earned that Europa League berth. Moving to Saturday, we'll start at 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Rayo Vallecano, 3/4 goal favorites at home to Real Oviedo. All the juice on Oviedo right now. Total is 2.25, and it's juiced pretty heavily to under. This is a pretty correlated under and underdog type situation, much bigger than I made it, though I would expect this number to come down. It's very juiced already on the Real Oviedo side. I just don't trust Rayo. They are not a goal-scoring team. They're a defensive brand of football. Oviedo have had a million nil-nil draws, goalless draws, and those are the unders and underdogs I want to play. Probably more interested in under 2.25, which feels a little bit big to me, but lean to the underdog away from home as well. Single goal loss, 1-0, and you're actually making money in this game. Moving to Saturday at 9:15 Central, 10:15 Eastern. Barcelona, 2.25 goal favorites at home with all the juice to Mallorca right now. Total in this one is 3.75, used very heavily to over. Really, for me, I think all I could potentially do here is the under. It's bigger than I made it. Mallorca are going to go on the road and try to defend. The problem is they don't defend as well or play as well away from home, and Barcelona unders are a death knell. Moving next to Sevilla, hosting Girona. Currently, Sevilla, a 1/4 goal favorite with almost all the juice. Actually, all the juice right now. We got plus money on Girona, plus 1/4. This one's 2.5, just all the way to under. And Girona scares me because their defense and specifically their goalkeeper has made so many errors that have directly led to goals this season. A lot when I've been on the other team, but also the under, so it kind of helps and hurts at the same time. Sevilla, I don't really trust to score goals. They're a pretty cheap favorite, though, right now to me. So we'll see this potentially climb. I think this is about the number that I made it. It's actually juiced heavily to under, despite being a little bit below what I had. So it might be a skip for me at 11:30 Central Time on Saturday. To the nightcap, Saturday evening, a big matchup between Real Sociedad, not playing in Europe, and Elche, newly promoted. I guess they've got to do what they got to do. But currently, Elche, 3/4 goal underdog on the road at Real Sociedad, coming off Copa del Rey midweek, where they played a pretty full lineup. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to over here. I think we got a good chance that Real Sociedad really struggles in this matchup. I like and have backed Elche all season. They've potentially run out a little bit of gas here lately, but I do love the setup, especially not playing midweek. Real Sociedad had to go on the road to Alaves. Moving to Sunday with Alaves hosting Getafe, coincidentally, in the early one. Not a lot of turnaround time here for this one either, but Alaves 1/4 goal favorites at home with more juice on the Getafe side. Told them this one is 1.5, juice very heavily to over, but that is a tiny, tiny total, and I don't play them less than 2. At least I don't play unders that way. And as a longtime Patreon subscriber, Joseph Tuller knows, I don't play a lot of overs either. But if there's ever one to play, it might be a 1.5. Though with a Getafe matchup, that first goal is the race, really, and that might be it. Moving to the next matchup, Athletic Club Bilbao hosting Levante, coming off their own Copa del Rey midweek. Currently, Levante, 3/4 goal underdogs away from home. All the juice on Athletic Club. Probably going to close one, would be my guess. Total in this one's 2.5, juice very heavily to under. I don't trust Athletic Club to score a lot of goals, but this number is way lower than I made it. So I think under 2.5 is my interest until we get that full goal of insurance. Move next to Atletico Madrid hosting Real Betis in a rematch of today's matchup in Copa del Rey, which I can't say that I would normally look at matchups and say that the same thing's going to repeat itself, but literally from Thursday to Sunday, 2 days, same matchup, just changing venues. It's going to be tough to see Atletico Madrid winning by more than a goal, and might even be more, 1.25 after this matchup kicks off. Lean to Betis, and the total is probably more interested in under here, but Atleti do score at home. Real Betis do want to score, so probably Real Betis, my biggest interest in that matchup. We'll move next to the nightcap on Sunday. Valencia hosting Real Madrid. Valencia, a 1-goal underdog right now with more juice on Los Blancos. Total is 3, juice more to the under, as it probably should be based on how Valencia want to play in their home stadium. But I don't know that I trust the new manager for Real Madrid. I don't really trust their defense. For me, I think biggest interest right now, total's about what I made it, almost on the nod. 2.99107 is what I have for a under 3 at the moment. So maybe Valencia as a big underdog, +1 at home is tough to look away from, because worst case, a single goal loss, you end up pushing. To Monday, we have Villarreal, a 3/4 goal favorite at home to Espanyol. Total in this one is 2 3/4, just more to the under. And I'm pretty interested in Espanyol here. They've been great at home. Away from home has been a challenge, but that same sort of story for everyone at this point. I just don't know that I really trust much of this Villarreal side. They've been really good in La Liga, eliminated from Champions League, which is certainly a different competition. But I just feel like the truth is somewhere in the middle between these two teams, or at least the team that plays in one competition versus the one domestically that plays in the other competition continentally. I think for my best bet from Spain, I'm going to go Real Betis, a 1-goal underdog on the road at Atletico. Certainly will have a lot to learn from their Copa del Rey match midweek. Moving now to Italy, and we'll start on Friday as well. We'll start with a big matchup at the bottom of the table, and that is Verona hosting Pisa. Currently, some money coming in on Pisa overnight, getting more and more expensive. Quarter goal underdogs they are with all the juice. Total is 2, and that has not moved, but a ton of money on over. I'm not really a believer in that one. I'll play under 2 in that matchup and hope we get 2 1/4. Moving to Saturday with just 2 matches. Genoa hosting Napoli. Currently Genoa half a goal underdog with almost all the juice. Total in this one is 2, and it's just more to the over than the under here. Genoa have been scoring more goals than the new manager, Daniele De Rossi. Napoli have been inconsistent, to probably say the least. Home underdog does interest me. I don't know if it's enough for me. It's lower than I made it, so I think I want to see certainly some lineups, and the total is tiny, which does certainly point to under as a correlated play. To the Saturday night cap, we have Fiorentina 3/4 goal favorites at home to Torino. The total in this one is juices split both ways on that side, by the way. Total in this one is 2.5, and juices split both ways on the total. So not a lot of direction offered here. I lean to against Fiorentina because they've struggled so much this season, and I lean to under, but I got to do a lot of thinking about how much I want to trust Torino. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with the 5:30 a.m. Central Time, 6:30 Eastern Time. Bologna 3/4 goal favorites at home to Parma. All the juice on Bologna. We'll see if this climbs to 1. Total in this one's 2.5, and it's used very heavily to under. Bologna have been really struggling balancing all these competitions, have played some really tight games, but have struggled with keeping defenders healthy. We'll see what they end up starting this weekend after Coppa Italia midweek. Parma have not been scoring goals, so I guess under is probably most interesting to me because they're probably unlikely to threaten. And if I get a full goal of insurance, I think I'll be more interested there as well. Moving next to Lecce hosting Udinese in what might be a low-scoring game because that's what Lecce does or do. Lecce currently a pick 'em, all the juice on Udinese away. Total in this one's 1 3/4, and it's just all the way to over. I don't play unders below 2, so that's probably not on my list. I don't really trust Lecce to score goals, so I'll be waiting for some movement in that matchup. Sassuolo then hosts Inter. Currently, Sassuolo, a 1 1/4 goal underdog with all the juice on the home underdog. Total in this one is 2 3/4, and it's used very heavily to under. I always believe in Inter Milan matches to be low scoring because their defense is so great. They control games so well. I think I want a 3 on the total, but the spread above 1 makes me interested there. Could potentially play both, try to potentially get out of there, sneak out with a push or a win on a Sassuolo single goal loss and Inter only win 1-0. That would be ideal for me as an Inter Milan holder, despite to win Serie A, despite wearing a Christian Pulisic AC Milan jersey. As I record this, if you're watching live on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review, make a comment, and I will respond to it, or have one of my co-hosts on all the other podcasts on this network, including Big East Ben with college basketball coming out tomorrow on Friday for the Saturday card. To the last matchup on Sunday, we have Juventus hosting Lazio. Currently, Juve, a 1-goal favorite with all the juice. The market continues to love Juventus. Total in this one is 2 1/4, and it's juiced a little bit more to over. Sassuolo, last matchup. But Lazio, they're treated like Sassuolo to the marketplace, I feel, but they've done some spending over the January transfer window. I've dealt with a lot of injury suspensions, all the sort of things. I just don't really believe that Juve are this good or this much better. Would love to see the 2 1/4 get higher. I don't know that it actually will, but I do lean to the side as well on Lazio here. Really just a Juve fade at this point. To Monday, we have Atalanta, 1.25 goal favorites at home to Cremonese, newly promoted side. Told them this one is 2.75 juice more to the over, and all the juice is currently on the Atalanta side. It's bigger than I made it. I don't know that I trust Atalanta. The line with Juve this week in Coppa Italia was very weird to me. I think under and underdog looked very interesting to me in that matchup. And for the nightcap on Monday, Roma, a 1-goal favorite to Cagliari with all the juice on Roma. Told them this one is 2.25, and it's used very heavily to over. Cagliari going to go on the road and try to defend. I think I'm more interested in the under than I am in the side, but Roma haven't scored much this year, and Cagliari I was expecting to be right about 1. They're about there, so it's not that big of a stretch for me to want to play anything in that matchup. For my best bet in the Italian Serie A, I think I'll go with Parma under 2.5 in that early lunchtime start on Sunday morning in Italy. Move next to French League. I've got 2 leagues left to go, and then we'll get out of here with an ultimate best bet. Thank you, of course, all of you coming in live. We'll start with Metz and hosting Lille on a Friday matchup. We'll start with Metz, a 1-goal underdog at home with a little bit of money coming in on Lille, actually, right now, which make Metz cheaper. I love that. Newly promoted side who's not gotten a ton of respect. Some money coming on over, too. That definitely correlates. For me, Metz are a really good goal-scoring team despite being a newly promoted. We'll see if they still keep and hold on to all their players, what the lineup looks like. But Lille are really talented, but winning by multiple goals on the road is a big, big ask. Moving to Saturday, we'll go to Lens hosting Rennes. Currently, Lens a 0.5-goal favorite with all the juice right now at home. Total in this one is 3, and it's used very heavily to under. I really love what Rennes do. I think the total is way higher than it meant to be, but they've been playing a ton of matches. They had Coupe de France midweek after a big, big matchup with Marseille last week. I think they played them and Monaco as well. Excuse me. I think Monaco was the last matchup of Sunday, and then they played Coupe de France midweek. That's not great, especially going to the toughest place to play in Ligue 1 that's not called Paris Saint-Germain. I think at this point for me, I need a bigger plus sign on the side. I don't know that we'll get that necessarily, and I kind of want all the way to 1, especially playing in a tough place where they call themselves the Sang et Or, the blood and gold in northern France. We'll move next to Brest. They are hosting. No, that's wrong. Brest and Lorient. There we go. Brest is hosting Lorient. That's what I was going to. Quarter goal favorites right now are Brest at home with more juice on Lorient, newly promoted. They played a late Coupe de France matchup as well on Wednesday. Total in this one is 2.25 and juice very heavily to over. Lorient has gotten a ton of love from the marketplace. Again, it's happening even after they played Coupe de France midweek. I'm kind of tempted by the Brest side, but doubt they're going to be a pick 'em, and I don't play favorites in this sport. Sorry, Joe Dollar, longtime Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/thereal_G-Warner. Download the app, turn on notifications. You get all my plays as soon as I lock them in. As soon as you get a little buzz notification. Might be nothing for me in this matchup unless Lorient climb, and I don't expect that to occur. To the nightcap on Saturday of Nantes hosting Lyon. Currently, Nantes a 3/4 goal underdog with more juice on Lyon. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's used slightly more to under here. I lean to Nantes dictating the tempo. They have a former Lyon god in goal. Hopefully, Anthony Lopez is healthy for this matchup. He's very important. And Nantes, to me, are always a value. They're never respected. Would love to see them a 1-goal underdog at home, but still lean to 3/4 and under as well. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Nice hosting Monaco. Currently, Nice a quarter-goal underdog at home in a battle of the Côte d'Azur. Total is 3.25 in this one, juiced very heavily to under. I don't have much of a lean in this one. I don't trust Nice. I don't want to play them whatsoever. The total side's about what I made it. Maybe if it got bigger, but they've been a disaster, especially in Europa League. We'll move next to Angers, and they are hosting Toulouse in the big window of French matches, 10:15 Central Time on Sunday, 11:15 Eastern. Currently, Angers a quarter-goal underdog at home because they always are. And they are totaled in this matchup with Toulouse 2, juiced very heavily to over. And that's a tiny total, especially in France. But that's how Angers play. They restrict you. They take some of their chances, I got to say. And they've been a great side to back for a while. So I'm pretty interested in Angers here. Probably more than the total at just 2. But I'd love to see that climb to 2.25, as Angers Sundays are usually on my list. Moving next to Alger hosting FC Paris. Not Paris Saint-Germain, the other team, PSG, will coming up soon. Alger, a quarter-goal favorite at home, but all the juices on Paris coming off of their Coupe de France midweek. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's juiced more to the under. Alger are a low-scoring team, and they're going to be doing their best they can to keep Paris from scoring. I feel like the French market loved Paris to start when they came up, but they haven't really loved him since. I do really love Cabal and Goebbels as their top two, essentially, or two of the top three in their lineups. But I do want to see what it all looks like, especially after the Coupe de France midweek. Second to last matchup, last in this big window of matches on Sunday. We have Le Havre, a half of a goal underdog at home to Strasbourg. More juice on Le Havre right now by about 4 cents. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's used very heavily to under. Gary O'Neill coming in for Strasbourg. Speaking of late Coupe de France matches, Strasbourg hosting Monaco on Thursday, have to play a Sunday matchup. I love that setup for Le Havre, especially at home, as Strasbourg have to travel. So lean to that home underdog and to the under, especially with a great defensive mind like Gary O'Neill coming back into the fold. To the nightcap, we have a classique with PSG, 1.25 goal favorites at home with more juice to Marseille. Total in this one is 3.25, and it's juice similarly, -110 both ways. No real indicator on when the total will go. I lean to Marseille. It's a big number, and I don't love how sometimes uncompetitive they are, especially on the road at Paris. But losing by a single goal and you winning money, that is hard for me to resist. For my best bet on the French portion of this card, let's go with Le Havre, a half of a goal underdog at home to Strasbourg. Hard to argue against the great spot that they have getting Strasbourg off of the Coupe de France. Last but not least, we'll get the German Bundesliga, get an ultimate best bet nominee, and then get you out of here. We'll start with Union Berlin, a quarter goal favorite at home to Eintracht Frankfurt. It's amazing to me how far Eintracht Frankfurt have fallen, but I'm not getting in the way of that train. We'd love to see Union to pick them, but I don't think we will. Total's 2.5 in this one, and I can't trust the Eintracht defense. Let's move to Saturday. The big slate of German Bundesliga matches that starts with Heidenheim, a pick'em to Hamburg. Heidenheim just barely staying in the league last year in a relegation playoff, the relegation, whereas Hamburg finally promoted back to the big times, trying to stay up there. They're a road favorite. They should be, probably, but it's hard for me to agree with that all the time. Total this one is 2.75, and it's used very heavily to under. I don't really see this as an under type of matchup because Heidenheim want to outscore you. Hamburg want to do the same, and they know this is their best chance probably the entire season to get 3 points away from home. Next, we'll go to St. Pauli hosting Stuttgart, coming off of I thought was going to be a German Bundesliga or a DFB Pokal match midweek, but I think that got postponed. Currently, St. Pauli, a half a goal underdog at home to Stuttgart. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's just slightly more to under, but at just 2 cents. I lean to under. St. Pauli are a low-scoring team, and they can't outscore anybody. They're going to do their best to keep this as low-scoring as possible. I don't know that Stuttgart want to play that way, and certainly it does feel like a low total, which tells me the market is certainly indicating a low-scoring matchup, maybe more than you'd expect. Mainz 05 then hosts Augsburg. Currently Mainz, a half a goal favorite at home with all the juice on Augsburg, actually. Let's see if this one falls back to a quarter of a goal. Total in this one is 2.5, juice very heavily to over. Every time Louis Fischer's in a matchup, I lean to under with him, and I trust him more than I trust myself. We'll next move to Wolfsburg. They are hosting Borussia Dortmund. Currently Wolfsburg, a 3/4 goal underdog at home with more juice. Total in this one is 3, and it is juiced more to the under. VfL Wolfsburg are not a goal-scoring team. I think I need a full goal of insurance to get them even at home, but lean to the under a little bit. Dortmund, though, not really having much to do as they've already been eliminated from the DFB Pokal. Should be about as rested as they have been all season. That does make me worried about Wolfsburg defending. To the last of that big early slate in the 3:30 local time window in Deutschland, we'll start with Sport Club Freiburg, a half a goal favorite at home with all the juice. Total in this one at home to Werder Bremen is 2.75, and it's just very heavily to under. I mean, Bremen are going to go in and try to defend. I just don't know how much I trust that. I think I need a full 3 in order to play under there. Last but not least, the top spiel, the biggest matchup of the German Bundesliga weekend. We have a Rhein Derby with Borussia Mönchengladbach, a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice on the road team Bayer Leverkusen, coming off of DFB Pokal midweek. Total in this one is 3, just pretty heavily to under, and I lean to the home underdog and under. I don't really like this Leverkusen side. I feel like they are still getting credit for a team that isn't in that locker room anymore, wearing those uniforms, Tricolts as they're called in Deutschland. Gladbach have been through the ringer, fired a manager, brought up a youth team coach, then signed him to a long-term deal. We'll see how that works. But lean to the home underdog, especially in a big rivalry. To Sunday of FC Köln hosting RB Leipzig. Currently Köln, a quarter goal underdog with all the juice right now on the road team Leipzig, maybe moving towards half. Total in this one is 3.25, juice pretty heavily to under. But these are two teams that want to go for it, and that makes me pretty concerned about really playing anything here. Maybe lean to Cologne, but I want to see that number climb a little bit. To the nightcap, and probably on Sunday, one of the bigger matchups of the weekend, with Bayern München, a 1 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice at home to TSG Hoffenheim. Total this one is 4, juice very heavily to under. And I think I'm interested in Hoffenheim. I want to see that climb to a 2-goal underdog away from home. I think it will. But they've been really good away from home for years, and I trust them more than I trust most teams and more than I've trusted Hoffenheim in almost forever. So lean to that one there. And for my nomination for the German Bundesliga, I'll put TSG Hoffenheim on the list as a 1 3/4 goal underdog. Now it's time to get to Ultimate Best Bet portion of the show. Before we get there, I want to shout out all the new subscribers. We got a ton all over the place. I really appreciate the Patreon subscribers, patreon.com/real_G Warner, and want to keep those going as long as we possibly can. If I could load Gmail so I could shout you all out, I promise I will do it. Before we get there, though, I guess I could go and shout out some YouTube subscribers. So let's go make that happen. We'll start. Just kidding. We'll go back to Patreon. So thank you to the new Patreon subscribers, of course. I want to shout out Mr. Biscuits. Thank you for coming in. Really appreciate your support. As for the YouTubers coming in, Ricardo, Sam Apoku, Christopher Douglas, Allison McIntyre, Young Realist, Paul Mallon, Fallet Mac. I mean, big list of people, especially watching a ton of the Reels and YouTube Shorts and videos and all these sort of things that are going up. I really appreciate it. It helps to grow the channel. And don't worry, we have forever until we have enough subscribers for commercials. So this will be commercial free. Just me, you, and a microphone on the Soccer Pod. But I got to mention the other pods we do on here as well. The Need for Seeds College Basketball Podcast with Big East Ben has returned to the Betting the Pitch Podcast Network. You should see an episode on Friday, recording for the Saturday card just tomorrow, as it's about to be actually Friday here, Central Time. The NFL podcast with Andrew Schnicker is out covering the NFL Super Bowl. That is this weekend, in case you forgot. Go check that out. Give him a follow, _Schnicker on Twitter. And then, of course, get ready for more What I Bet on the pregame.com podcast network on the Straight Out of Vegas AM feed. But it's time for the Ultimate Best Bet. I will recite my record just so everyone knows, but I've been counting and going along as quickly as I can because I watch every match and I'm a little bit behind. But please support whatever I'm telling you. I'm grading as I go, and I'm updating as much as I can. We're 17, 13, and 2, 57% through all that I've watched so far this season. And let's go with the Premier League. I like Manchester City, a 1/4 goal underdog on the road at Liverpool. In La Liga in Spain, I like Real Betis, a 1-goal underdog on the road at Atletico Madrid. In Serie A, I like Parma under 2.5 goals. In Ligue 1 in France, I like Le Havre, a 1/2 goal underdog. And the German Bundesliga we just covered, I like TSG Hoffenheim, a 1 3/4 goal underdog. Though certainly waiting for +2 there. As for the Ultimate Best Bet, let's go Manchester City, 1/4 goal underdogs on the road at Liverpool. I'm not a believer in this Liverpool side. I haven't been. Manchester City have improved. They've survived a bit of a defensive chaos, backline issues, and they have a man named Erling Haaland who really should not be an underdog ever. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you on this weekend's The Need for Seeds College Basketball card record tomorrow, and looking forward to more winners down the stretch.
Recording stopped.